So we're eating our carnivore meal. This might make a lot of you sick. Got the bacon, the cheddar on a half-pound shack burger. We become our own judge. Here and beyond. We are persecuting, or rather displaying what would be deemed as an inability to fully develop and to be the proper purveyor of consciousness. So there's a reversion. And for the long, I'm sure that people believed for some time that there were saints and prophets and a God that stood above you and basically as a judge and jury you ended up right back here but with penalties, but you enforce those penalties on your own. Now people are beginning to see that souls waking up, setting themselves free. Were these luminaries protecting something? Because when you look at the grand scope of it, and you see those who proclaim themselves fully developed, they create a limitation and a finite aspect in the totality of the all. In other words, they're souls that were easily bought, souls that were easily appeased. And this may not seem like a big deal, but they didn't see the grand unification. The only way that grace can be achieved in salvation. So you had those who took on an order, worked for an order. But who interprets this order? And the answer is that there are just people, whether incarnate or disincarnate. And at the top of the very heap, none of them were correct. In your self-efficacy, in your autonomy, the way is shown. And that is the only way. That is the way. And if you can do that, like Beaumont and Fletcher, you're guided by your own light. You have your own star. You resonate with that truth. The truth is not abstracted. Like Nietzsche said, there are no facts, only interpretations. And what has been misunderstood and misrepresented, which got us here, is the franchising and capitalizing off of people in that very liminal and gray area. unification of the consciousness as to become complete, to become one. The yielding and the grace of understanding, and the salvation that's given unto us and given to the multitudes. The problem was the illusion that we're released from penalty if we go through the meritocracy that fleeces the pockets of those who capitalize off of the lack in other people's development. We have to go our own way, our own separate ways, but ultimately the road leads to the same place. We can get there in a moment, which if we were to think in retrospect, once we finally get there, because this is outside of time. Time doesn't exist. Time is metered based on this. It's a refraction of possibilities and potentials of mimetic quadrants or zones of spheres that echo back walls that seem like walls of distinction, identity, authentication, personality. But in truth, all of that is an illusion. The fact that there is a zodiac and that the zodiac seems to have been a mainstay from the beginning of the universe shows how long this deception has been going on, and how the same characters reemerge, the same blood meridian judges that reemerge, the same discourse between Socrates and Gorgias, said in different ways, different algorithms. It's this redundancy of the same. And there comes a point where the writing of new information onto a quasi-self through selfhood is no longer a necessity and expression, even in a fabricated synthetic state of a priori.